Struggling to come up with knot patterns for your macrame projects? We've got you covered in this video. It's Nicole here from Bochiknot, and in this video we are going to go over 5 different square knot patterns that you can use in your macrame designs. If you've just started venturing into the world of creating your own macrame designs, you may need some ideas on knot patterns you want to incorporate into your projects. The square knot is a great starting point for beginners because it is fairly simple to make. And therefore, in this video, I will be showing you 5 different square knot pattern variations that you can use for your wall hangings, your plant hangers, your keychains. For more beginner-friendly resources on how you can create your own macrame designs, you can head on over to bochiknot.com for more details. And with that said, let's jump right in. For the square knot column, you will need 2 strands of cord at 150 centimeters long attached onto the dowel with lark's head knots. To begin, we are going to use the far left and far right cords as the working cords all the way down. Because this is a consecutive square knot pattern, we are using the same working cords and same anchor cords throughout this pattern. So when you're planning your designs around a consecutive square knot pattern, your middle 2 anchor cords can be a lot shorter. They can be the exact length that you want your pattern to be, with your outer pattern about 4 or 4.5 times the length of the anchor cords. So to start, we're going to take the left cord, bring it over like this to the right, take the right cord over, under, through the back, and through the left side. Now what I just made here is a half knot, and then to complete the square knot, we're just going to make an opposite half knot. So take the right cord over to the left, left cord over, under, through the right side. And we have now made 1 square knot. And now all we have to do is repeat this as many times as you want underneath for this consecutive square knot pattern. I'm just going to make 2 more quickly here, and then I'll show you what the pattern looks like with several more made. And this is what the pattern looks like once you have repeated it several times. This is a great pattern for bag straps, for wall hangs, for plant hangers, anything that you want a senate for. This is a great, easy, simple pattern for that. For the alternating square knot pattern, we will need 6 strands of cord to demonstrate this pattern at 150 centimeters long, attached onto the dowel with lark's head knots. So to begin, we're going to make a row of square knots horizontally. Now this pattern is not just limited to just 6 strands of cord here. You can make it as small as you want in groups of 2 cords, or as wide as you want. I'm just demonstrating this with 3 columns of square knots, but keep in mind you can make it as wide or as skinny as you want. You just have to add on 2 more cords at a time to expand the width. So to begin, I'm starting on the left side with the far left 4 cords for a square knot. Then continue the row of square knots to the right. Now to continue this pattern vertically, we are going to make the alternating square knots, which is the name of this pattern. To do that, we're going to start on the left side first. So underneath the left 2 square knots, we're going to make an alternating square knot. So that just means the middle 4 cords in between those 2 square knots, we're going to make another square knot. Same thing on the right side. Now to keep your square knots nice and neat, what I usually do after every single square knot is I pull on the anchor cords. That keeps it nice and consistent tension-wise, and also it pulls and straightens out any scrunched up cords. Now that we're done the second row, we repeat the same pattern over again. So from left to right, 3 square knots, 2 square knots, 3 square knots. This is the alternating square knot pattern. So I'm going to repeat a few more square knots, and then I'm going to make a few more rows down to show you what that would look like. And there you have it. This is what the alternating square knot pattern looks like when repeated several times. For the square knot weave, you will need 6 strands of cord at 150 centimeters long attached onto a dowel with lark's head knots. I'm going to show you this demonstration with 3 columns of square knots weaved together, but you can make this as skinny with 2 columns or as wide as you want. You just have to keep on adding groups of 2 cords to continue expanding the pattern. So to begin, we are going to make a row of square knots. So starting on the left side, make a square knot, then continue over to the right. So as you can see here, we've made a row of square knots, and with each group of 4 cords, we've used the outer cords of the group as the working cords for each square knot. We are going to keep the working cords and the anchor cords consistent throughout. But now to weave these columns together, what we're going to do on the left side is using the same working cord here. We're actually going to borrow the working cord adjacent to the right working cord here, so from the next column, and we're going to now make a square knot on the left side. This is how we can weave the columns together. Now in the middle, take that left working cord from the far left column, and then on the right side we take the cord adjacent to the right one, and we make a square knot in the middle. So only the far left and far right sections of this pattern will you need to use the same working cord. Other than the far left and far right sides, everywhere in the middle you're going to be boring from adjacent sides. So on the far right side, we're now going to take that left working cord to finish off that last square knot. And then underneath, you can now repeat this as many times as you want to reach your desired length. So I'm going to repeat this several more times so that you can see what it looks like. Once repeated, this is what the pattern looks like. You just really have 3 square knot columns weaved together. For the square knot picot pattern, you're going to see larger loops on the sides. It's really just a consecutive square knot pattern, leaving some extra space on the working cords in between the square knots so that little loops are formed on the sides. For the square knot picot pattern, you will need 2 strands of cord at 150 centimeters long each. And what I've done is I've attached them onto the dowel with lark's knots, but we've left the middle 2 anchor cords slightly shorter. I left about 10 inches of length for the anchor cords, and the rest is with the working cord ends. So to begin, I'm going to use the outer left and right working cords for a regular square knot. And now one way to make this is to make another square knot, but we're going to make it about 2 inches down. So once we're done the square knot, slide it up, and you can see that there's loops on both sides. And now you can repeat this pattern for as many times as you want. You can play around with the sizing of the loops too. You can start with small, then gradually get to bigger, then small again. So I'm going to make this loop slightly bigger. And then I'm just going to repeat this pattern a few more times. And this is what the pattern looks like. I kind of just alternated the sizing of the loops throughout. Didn't really stick to a particular pattern for the loops, but you can definitely do that, like I said before, with some shorter, gradually moving to larger loops and then smaller again. For the square knot pattern, we are just starting off with 2 strands of cord at 150 centimeters long attached onto a dowel with lark's knots. But what we're doing is we are tightening the knot so that the middle 2 anchor cords are shorter. I've left about 10 inches of length for the anchor cords, and the rest, the longer cord ends, are the working cords. For the macrame square knot circle pattern, we are going to be adding 2 more cords for square knots onto the anchor cords. And I'll show you that right after the very first square knot here. So starting with the far left, far right cords, we're going to make a square knot. Now, before we continue, we're going to take another strand of cord at 150 centimeters long, place it underneath, right at the middle point of this new cord underneath. Then using the left and right cord ends, make a square knot. Now slide the square knot to meet the first square knot above. And then now we're going to add 1 more with another strand of cord. Now that we have the 2 extra square knots attached, we are now going to start on the circle pattern. We're going to start with the last square knot we had just attached. Same working cords, same anchor cords, and we're going to make a square knot. But now we're going to make a slight circle. So we're just going to leave a little bit of space, about a centimeter of space in between the square knots. Make sure they're even on both sides, and then push up to meet the square knot above, and you can see small little loops on the side. Then taking the next group of working cords down, we're also going to make a square knot here, also leaving a little bit of space underneath. Slide it up. You can see the round pattern should be big enough to see the middle two round loops, and then taking the top set of cords, bring it down. Also, leave a little bit of space, about a centimeter, then slide it up. And if it's not big enough, we're gonna undo it and leave a little bit more space. So you gotta have to play around with it. So I don't think a centimeter is enough here. So we're just going to add a little bit more. So a little bit more space. So I think here is good. So about 2 centimeters of space. And the circle fits nicely on the outside. And now we're starting again. Start with the cord that we had just used first. For a small circle. And then continue bringing the next cord down for circles, and then continue repeating that all the way down. Now once repeated, this is what the pattern looks like. I did 4 sections of the circles. This pattern is super unique. You can incorporate it into almost any macrame project. And that concludes our 5 beginner-friendly square knot patterns. I hope you can incorporate some of these or all of these into your macrame designs, or perhaps you can take it a step further and create your own macrame knot patterns with the patterns that I showed you today. I'd like to know which ones you guys plan on using in your macrame projects. Let me know in the comment section below. And if you want more videos like this, make sure you let me know by giving this video a big thumbs up, and make sure you click that subscribe button so that you are up to date with our latest tutorials. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.